Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Yashodanandana Vraja Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Sarvashishra Dasi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Sarvashishra Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shiva Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Transcendental Book Production and Book Distribution Ki Jai Samavita Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. We are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 88. Lord Shiva saved from Vrikasura, verse number 16. Dashasya Banayos Tushta Stuvator Vandinor Iva Aishvaryam Atulam Dattva Tata Apa Susankatam Dashyasya Banayos Tushta Dashyasya Banayos Tushta Stuvator Vandinoriva Stuvator Vandinoriva Aishvaryam Atulam Dattva Aishvaryam Atulam Dattva Tata Apa Susankatam Tata Apa Susankatam Dashasya Banayos Tushta Stuvator Vandinoriva Aishvaryam Atulam Dattva Tata Apa Susankatam Dashasya Banayos Tushta Stuvator Vandinoriva Aishvaryam Atulam Dattva Tata Apa Susankatam. Dasasya Banayos Tushta Stuvator Vandinoriva Aishvaryam Atulam Dattva Tata Apa Susankatam Dasasya Banayos Tushta Stuvator Vandinoriva Aishvaryam Atulam Dattva Tata Apa Susankatam. Dasasya Banayos Tushta Stuvator Vandinoriva Aishvaryam Atulam Dattva Tata Apa Susankatam. Dasasya Banayos Tushta Stuvator Vandinoriva Aishvaryam Atulam Dattva Tata Apa Susankatam. Dasasya Banayos Tushta Stuvator Vandinoriva Aishvaryam Atulam Dattva Tata Apa Susankatam. Dasasya Banayos Tushta Stuvator Vandinoriva Aishvaryam Atulam Dattva Tata Apa Susankatam. Dasasya Banayos Tushta Stuvator Vandinoriva Aishvaryam atulam dattva tata apasu sankatam dasasya banayos tushta stuvatur vandinoriva Aishvaryam atulam dattva tata apasu sankatam dasya asya with 10-headed Ravana Banayo and with Bana Tushta satisfied Stuvato who sang his glories Vandino Iva like minstrels means bards singers Aishvaryam power Atulam unequaled Dattva giving Tata then Apa he obtained Su great Sankatam difficulty. Translation. He, Lord Shiva, became pleased with 10-headed Ravana and also with Bana when they each chanted his glories, like bards in a royal court. Lord Shiva then bestowed unprecedented power upon each of them, but in both cases he was consequently beset with great difficulty. Purport. Ravana worshipped Lord Shiva to gain power, and then misused that power to uproot the Lord's residence, sacred Kailasa Parvata. On Banasura's request, Lord Shiva agreed to personally guard Bana's capital, and later he had to fight for Bana against Sri Krishna and his sons. Dashasya banayos tushta stuvator vandinoriva aishvaryamatulam dattva tata apasu sankatam. He became pleased with 10-headed Ravana and also with Bana when they each chanted his glories like bards in a royal court. Lord Shiva then bestowed unprecedented power upon each of them, but in both cases he was consequently beset with great difficulty. Om Gyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So today, the verse on the board is the last verse of a series of verses following yesterday's verse. And these verses explain the difference between worshipping Lord Vishnu or Krishna and the benedictions Lord Vishnu bestows, and the kind of benedictions that the demigods and Lord Shiva bestow, and the result from them. So I would like first to explain a little more about yesterday's verse, where Lord Vishnu says, the personality of Godhead said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way he suffers one distress after another. And then follows a very long purport, which is from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti's purport on the 10th canto. And Srila Prabhupada explains that this is the first installment of Sri Krishna's mercy. When he especially favors someone, this is Srila Prabhupada stresses, especially favors someone. He gradually, little by little, deprives him of his wealth. And then, this is the first installment, yes. And then, but there is also a second installment. We don't suffer just for nothing, just to become frustrated. So verse 9, when he becomes frustrated in his attempts to make money and instead befriends my devotees, I bestow my special mercy upon him. Sayada vitadot, sorry, I need my magic torch. Sayada vitadot yogo nirvinasya danehaya matparakita maitrasya karishe matanugraham. When he becomes frustrated in his attempts to make money, so naturally, when we lose something, we try to get it back. But when it doesn't work, and then when the devotee befriends my devotees, I bestow my special mercy unto him. What is this special mercy? Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this is the rain of bhakti rasa which Krishna pours down on his devotee. Actually, this is the goal. The goal is not just to make us suffer, because the material nature takes care of this very nicely. The modes of nature which are constantly in conflict with each other. After goodness come passion, and then passion gives us a very strong drive to succeed, to do things, to accomplish things. But then tamaguna comes, then we become despondent because nothing is. Everything is temporary in this world. Our situation may change unexpectedly, and then we become despondent, as it says in the following verse, and then we become discouraged. We feel paralyzed. So this process of losing things is quite natural in this world. And if we don't lose anything, it's just our good karma from previous lifetimes. But then we lose our body. Then also when at the time of death, we lose our friends and relatives. So the same destiny comes anyway. This is absolutely certain. So this chapter begins with the question, why devotees of Vishnu attain liberation and devotees of other deities attain material opulences? Because it seems like a contradiction. Lord Vishnu possesses all opulences, but his devotees are poor. While Lord Shiva lives in poverty, he is the greatest yogi and ascetic, but his devotees can attain abundant wealth. So the answer is that Shiva is the master of the material elements. He manifests as false ego in the three material gunas, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And when his bhaktas worship him, in his manifestations in the material elements, then they receive material wealth. This is important to note. When they worship Shiva in a manifestation of him in the material elements, and there are 16 of them. As we know, Lord Shiva also has a transcendental form, Sadashiva, and his abode is situated in Vaikuntha. And in this form, he is pure consciousness, and then he gives liberation, in the sense, liberation from the material world. And then the destination, the spiritual destination, is according to the taste and the desire of the person. Impersonal Brahman, Vishnu in the Vaikuntha planets, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva, Sadashiva is the gatekeeper. And so that's why, that's the reason his devotees attain material wealth. But Lord Srihari is transcendental to the three modes of nature, so naturally his devotees, when they worship him, they also become transcendental. It's quite logical. But as it was explained in yesterday's verse, in this long purport, worshipping the demigods for material opulences is a double-edged sword, like everything in the material world. And but there is another deeper reason for this, because Lord Shiva can be easily pleased by devotion, certainly by austerities, but also by very simple offerings, like offering bilva leaves. But he can also be easily angered. And then the consequences of this can be catastrophic, not just for his worshipper, but for the whole world. And this chapter is about one such devotee of Lord Shiva, Vrikasura. He was the son of Shakuni. Shakuni is the uncle of the Kauravas, the brother of their mother. And we know that it was Shakuni who relentlessly poisoned the mind of Duryodhana against the Pandavas, who are devotees of Krishna, against Lord Krishna personally, and this means against Dharma. And so the consequences of material benedictions are uncertain, their results are temporary. So, but let me explain the second installment of mercy that Lord Krishna gives his devotees. So he gradually deprives them of their wealth. And then, so these are the steps. What happens? Then the friends, the relatives abandon the devotee. People naturally withdraw from losers, as they are called, because they don't want to be infected by the same problems. They don't want to be influenced. People don't want to see someone else's misery. We want to be with the winners. We want to follow, the successful people. So first there is the disappointment of the lost wealth. Then the devotee suffers because of the abandonment. And then Lord Vishnu says, he becomes frustrated to make money. So the devotee tried to make money, but he becomes frustrated. Why? Because Lord Krishna doesn't let him regain what he has lost. Then more suffering comes, more frustration. But, very important but, because this is what the mercy is all about. If the devotee befriends the devotees, if he seeks devotee association, devotee friendship, which is always available, we just have to try a little bit. We have to befriend them, have to make a step to have sadhu sangha. Then the magic happens. So, the extraordinary shower of bhakti ras. So, and it is for this purpose alone that Krishna gave the first installment of mercy, like changing the material situation of a devotee. So the benediction is explained in a more abstract and general way by Krishna in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the next verse. Basically, Krishna says that he gives self-realization to the devotee, liberation from samsara, from birth and death. Tad Brahma paramam sukshmam chinmatram sadanantakam vigyayat mataya dhira samsarad parimuchyate. So a person who has thus become sober, what is sober? It's someone who is serious, grave, who is not overly enthusiastic to strive for material happiness, and who remains steady when the problems come, when suffering comes. Person who becomes sober fully realizes the absolute Brahman, the absolute truth, who is the highest truth, is the most subtle, which means he is absolutely free from any material contamination. He's beyond the material world. Who is transcendental existence without end. Perfect manifestation of spirit. He's the purest of all. In this way, realizing that the supreme truth is the foundation of his own existence. So this means when he realizes that Krishna is the foundation of his Atma, his spiritual nature, then he is freed from the cycle of material life. So, and how Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains it? So, actually, this verse, he says, describes Krishna, the absolute truth, but it also describes Krishna's mercy. So it is Krishna's mercy that is supremely great, just like Brahman is supremely great. Krishna's mercy is subtle, because it is imperceivable to those who have material vision, just like we cannot perceive Brahman, what to speak of Lord Krishna, we also cannot perceive his mercy. It is inconceivable even to the devotee who receives this mercy. Ultimately, we cannot understand what and how and why. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the Lord's intentions are known to him alone. Then the mercy, Krishna's mercy, is purely spiritual, just like Brahman, because it bestows prema rasa. And then it is devoid of material happiness. It has nothing to do with material happiness. It is eternal. Once we receive it, it's there. And because of it, as a consequence of it, one has no fear of death. And as a secondary result, Krishna's mercy destroys the cycle of birth and death. So, and it is for this second installment that the first installment came, the suffering and the frustration. This is the fruit of Krishna's mercy. And then it is also explained, because one can also ask, but why? Why does Krishna has to accomplish anything, his purposes, by causing suffering? And then the answer is, it is not necessary, definitely. But Krishna does it. But the thing is, this suffering, Krishna, he doesn't destroy the devotee. And this suffering gives the devotee great pleasure. So this is also a clue. This is the way how can know what is Krishna's mercy, what is our karma. First of all, it happens gradually. Krishna will not let the devotee perish, never in any circumstances. And then Krishna gives also great pleasure. So his intentions are always driven by his affection of the devotees. And then, verse 11. Because I am difficult to worship, people generally avoid me and instead worship other deities who are quickly satisfied. When people receive kingly opulences from these deities, they become arrogant, intoxicated with pride, and they neglect their duties. They dare to offend even the demigods who have bestowed benedictions upon them. Ato mam suduraratyam hitvanyam bhajate janaha tatasta ashutoshebhyo labdaraja shriyo dataha matta paramatra varadam Vishmayantya vachanate. So the other deities, the demigods, and Lord Shiva, as we know, Lord Shiva is not a demigod, are quickly satisfied. Ashutoshebhyo. And then people can receive unimaginable opulences, not just anybody, of course. To receive extraordinary results, one has to make an extraordinary effort. But then what happens? The consequences of these benedictions are purely material, just like the benedictions themselves. We know wealth and power stimulate pride, and then one becomes offensive and even an enemy to the benefactor. And then Krishna says, I am difficult to worship. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that this means the reason is because he destroys the happiness of mundane interactions of any kind. He destroys the happiness that one can experience in the material world. So this is the difficult part. This is what discourages people, materialistic people, from worshipping Vishnu. So people worship the demigods and remain deeply conditioned by the modes of nature. And then what happens? Srila Shukadev Goswami gives examples, 2 examples, in the next verse. Shukadev Goswami said, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva and others are able to curse or bless one. Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma are very quick to curse or bestow benedictions, my dear king. But the infallible Supreme Lord is not. So this is a very famous verse that describes Lord Shiva as Ashutosh, quickly pleased. He's famous for this. all over the three worlds. The same statement is made also in the Shiva Purana and in the Vishnu Purana. So he is, wait a second, it says here, Satya quick. Yeah, anyway. I wanted to find the Sanskrit, but we have the verse. But it is not always easy to attain Lord Shiva's benedictions. Yes, he is satisfied by simple offerings, but some of his devotees know that if they want something extraordinary, they also have to make an extraordinary effort. And then Shukadeva Goswami says, the next verse, in this connection, an ancient historical account is related concerning how the Lord of Kailas mountain was put into danger, but by offering a choice of benedictions to the demon Vrika. This is what the chapter is about. And then he also the demon named Vrika, a son of Shakunis, one met Narada on the road. The wicked fellow asked him which of the three chief gods can be pleased most quickly. Narada told him, worship Lord Shiva and you will soon achieve success. He quickly becomes pleased by his worshippers' slightest good qualities and quickly angered by seeing his slightest fault. Yeah, actually, sorry. This is the famous verse, the very important verse describing the tattva of Lord Shiva. Sa aha devam girisham upadavashu sityasi yolpa bhyam gunadosha bhyam ashu tushiti kupyati. He's ashu tushiti, quickly pleased, but also ashu kupyati. He becomes also quickly angry. This is specifically Lord Shiva's nature. And some examples of his anger. For example, when he destroyed the sacrificial site of Daksha's sacrifice. After Sati was humiliated by her own father, she entered fire. She caused a mystical fire to manifest from her body. And she burned her own body because she couldn't tolerate, because the pain of the humiliation, of disrespect that her father showed for her own husband was greater than the pain of leaving her body in this way. And then Shiva, through his manifestation of Virabhadra, destroyed the sacrificial arena and beheaded Daksha. But it didn't end there. Lord Shiva took Sati's burned body and in utter desperation, pain, he started his dance of destruction, the Tandava dance. And he roamed the three worlds, unconsolable. And he could only be pacified by Lord Vishnu, who is his worshipable Lord. So Lord Vishnu, what he did, he cut Sati's body into different parts. One by one, they fell different places. They became holy places. In each of them, there are temples of Parvati, Sati. Only then was Lord Shiva pacified, and then the destruction of the material world was avoided. Or another example was when he turned Cupid, Kamadev, to ashes, just by opening his third eye, just one glance, and Kamadev was turned to ashes. in today's verse, Narada says he became pleased with 10-headed Ravana and also with Bana, when they each chanted his glories like bards in a royal court. So Lord Shiva is also pleased by praise. Lord Shiva then bestowed unprecedented power upon each of them, but in both cases he was consequently beset with great difficulty. So what did Ravana do? Once, when Ravana was flying with his flower airplane, he came to Mount Kailas. This is Lord Shiva's transcendental abode. And he couldn't fly over it, because no one is greater than Lord Shiva. Then he became angry and he demanded from the bull Nandi, he asked him, what is happening here? Why cannot fly further? So Nandi explained to him, because of the power of Lord Shiva. So this made Ravana very angry, and Ravana was a great devotee of Lord Shiva. So what did he do? He lifted with his 20 arms Mount Kailash. He just wanted to uproot it. But then, and the mount shook. Parvati became very scared, very disturbed. But Lord Shiva, he just pressed Ravana with his right toe and kept him like this for many years. For 1,000 years, actually, yes. So this changed Ravana's mind quite quickly, and then he started worshipping Lord Shiva with praise for 1,000 years, and these were the Tandava praise. He even made a veena from one of his tendons, one of his legs, and played on this veena to please Lord Krishna. So this is the difficulty. So he caused a great difficulty for Lord Shiva. But then in the end, Shiva again blessed him and released him from this. And then the pastime about Bana and Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. Now, this is quite interesting. So, I will read from the Srimad Bhagavatam. This pastime is described in the chapter 62 and 63. Okay. So, Banasura was a son of Bali Maharaj, and he was also a very special being. He was not an ordinary human being, he was a heavenly being. He had 1,000 arms. And once he pleased Lord Shiva by playing the drum, Shiva's drum, with his 1,000 arms. This must have been amazing. We can know how pleasing it is, how beautiful it is when there are mridangas playing in kirtan. But imagine 1,000 mridangas, each playing a different beat. So, as we said, Lord Shiva is quickly pleased by praise. And so he asked Banasura, what do you want? What kind of benediction can I give you? Banasura said, please become the guardian of my kingdom, of my realm. So But one day he displeased Lord Shiva because he felt, oh, he had this 1,000 arms, but there was no one he could fight. Because he couldn't find anybody who could give him a good fight. And his hands were itching, Srila Prabhupada says in the Krishna book, to fight. And then, so he challenged Lord Shiva. He said, you're the only one actually who could satisfy me in battle. You gave me these 1,000 arms, but now they are a heavy burden for me. I don't know what to do with them. So Lord Shiva became angry, and he said, your pride will be crushed in battle when you meet my equal. Indeed, your chariot flag will fall to the ground, broken. And then what happens? Who is Krishna's equal? It's Lord Krishna. Banasura's daughter Usha fell in love with Aniruddha, Lord Krishna's son. Just by hearing, no, she had a dream of him. She saw him in a dream, and then one of her friends, Chitralekha, started drawing different personalities, but because Usha was like, but who is he? I don't know who is he. And Chitralekha said, okay, is it Pradyumna? Is it she drew the portraits of different members of the Vishnu dynasty. Then when she drew Aniruddha, Usha said, yes, that's him, that's the love of my love, that's my soulmate. And then Aniruddha came to her. He visited her in the palace. And when Banasura heard about it, he became extremely angry. And then he fought Aniruddha and Lord Krishna. So, and then this is chapter 63, when Lord Krishna fights with Banasura. He managed to capture Aniruddha, and then the Yadava warriors, the best of Yadava warriors, set off for Banasura's capital and laid siege to it. And a very fierce fight followed. And then, to help Banasura, Lord Shiva, accompanied by his own followers, by his own Kartikeya, and by the mystic warriors, also magical beings, he fought on the side of Banasura. So, and then, in the middle of the battle, Banasura rushed to Krishna to attack Krishna. But what Krishna did was immediately kill his chariot driver, and then he broke at once his 500 bows and arrows. And then he spared Banasura when his mother appeared in front of Lord Krishna, naked, just complete in utter humility, to beg him to spare her son. And Lord Krishna didn't look at her out of respect for her. And then Krishna also defeated the mystical warriors of Shiva, the ghosts, the hobgoblins. He defeated the Shiva Dvara weapon with the Vishnu Dvara. This is also like Shiva's personal weapon. So it said that Shiva's weapon was a personification of fever and had 3 legs and 3 heads. So the Shiva Dvara had nowhere to hide from the Vishnu Dvara, Lord Vishnu's weapon, and he offered prayers to Lord Vishnu. to Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna spared him. The Shilajvara offered obeisances and left. So in the end, Lord Krishna cut off all the arms of Banasura except for 4 arms. And then he told Lord Shiva, yes, I had to do this. He doesn't deserve to die because he was born in the family of Prahlad Maharaj. But he was a burden to the earth because of his 1,000 arms and his extraordinary power. So he will be free from old age and death. He will remain fearless in all circumstances, and he will be one of your principal servants. In the end, Banasura offered obeisances to Lord Krishna, and then he had Usha and Aniruddha seated on their wedding chariot and brought them before the Lord. So, in the next verses, then the pastime of Vrikasura will be told. He also did something extremely hard and painful to receive his benediction, just like Ravana, for example. He offered his 10 heads, one by one, his heads to Shiva. And then Vrikasura also did something horrible, something ghastly. And what we will hear in the next verses. So I went here. Thank you very much. And do you have any comments or questions? Does anybody want to say something? Yadurani, Mataji. Okay, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krishna Sindhubhyeva cha Paditanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Krishna, thank you so much.